So today we're going to be building a workflow on engagement on LinkedIn. Now, this is something that pretty much you have to do on any social media platform, which is a form of engagement. Engagement is something that helps increase the amount of people that see your content. It's kind of like a tit for tat. People will engage on your content if you engage on theirs. It takes time to find these people, but once you have this list, it's pretty systematic and it's happening weekly. So this workflow is aimed at automating the comments and the engagement, the likes that have to be done on these people. Now, obviously, there's a lot of steps that go into this, but we're going to build out the basic one today. So first step is I've already got in here it's Tuesday and Thursday. I've already got in a engagement time schedule. And this is just a preference on my one, but you can choose this however you want. You may want it to run multiple times a day, in which case you'd have this running multiple times a day. You may want it to be random. You could put some random numbers in there. It's up to you. I then got my Unipile identification because I wanted that to go in there. This is being built, by the way, if you're not aware of what these are with Unipile and with N8N. They're pretty much the majority of tools in this, and I've got Airtable in here. And then I've also got some AI agents in here as well. But we'll get to those. Well, one AI agent. Once we've got that, we want to get the profiles that we're working from. So we're going to be using this engagement list, engagement links that I've pulled. So this is just a list of random people. And I want them to be pulled through. Now, what I'm going to change them to is, okay, we need some other options in here. So let's change these options. And we're going to edit the field. I want to get complete in there. And I want to get first delay. I want to get second delay. I want to get engage. So these are all the ones that I'm going to be running this through so that I'm making sure I'm putting the right people at the right time. There we are. So let's save that. And maybe I can just do a quick automation just to get these all changed to the right ones. So Airtable. And I want to get a record. I want to search. This is a search. I want to search. I'll be getting the connection status, because that's the column I'm using for all of these. And we want it to be not checked at the moment, because that's what they are. Okay, so let's execute this. All right, brilliant. It's got all 26 people. Nice. And then I'm going to update them. So Airtable again. And if you haven't already, you may need to create an Airtable account authentication. You can do this for OAuth. If you just do a quick Google on how to connect your, pause here and do a Google on how to connect Airtable to N8N. There's plenty of information out there on how to do it. It's pretty easy. It won't take you more than 5 minutes, if that. Anyway, what I'm doing here is I want to update the records. So we can use the ID that we've got here. Fantastic. And let's just remove all of these. I want to get to connection time. Connection status. Here we are. And I want to update them to complete. Let's do this. There we go. And we can check that it's working. There we are. That you can see it's moving. So that's updating them to complete. Fantastic. So while it's doing that, we can get the next step in. And we're going to change this so that it's going to be searching for the complete records, because that's what we're going to be pulling through. Once got that, I have a parameter node, a limit node. So we're going to be sending a random amount through pretty much every time, with a maximum number being potentially up to 20. And the reason we do this is we want to minimize or limit the amount of people that are engaged at any given one moment. Like if your list is hundreds of people, for example, you don't want 100 people to all be engaged with at once, because that would look like a bot. And you want this to come across and be as human as possible. Or at least that's the aim. Right, let's do this again now. So it should all come through again now. Brilliant. All right. Okay. And once we've pulled through those, we're going to change them to engage. Here we are. Now this list only has 26 people. So if your list is only 26 large, you may be like, do you know what? I just want to engage them all at once. It doesn't require this. You could just remove this and then just put all 26 through straight away. Anyway, so this is going to be, we're going to change this to return complete. All right. And now we're going to update the record so we can actually use this still. And for the sake of this, we're going to update them to engage. So it knows that it needs to now engage on them. And again, you may want to pull through a limited amount. While it's doing that, we're going to copy this and paste it down here. And this time we're going to change this to let's return engage. Okay, and then we're going to limit the number of people again. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. I am going to do this right now because I actually don't want to be pulling through too many people while I'm testing this. It's better if we don't. And then we want to edit the data. We want to edit some sets fields. And we want to create a LinkedIn user identifier. And this is so that Unipile can, let's just pull this through. And I'm actually just going to make this less. I'm just going to make this 1 for now. Cool. So it limits the amount of people coming through. And then we can see here, what I want is I just want the end of this LinkedIn profile. And so we want to call this LinkedIn user identifier. And from there, we want to get a formula that just pulls it out. Now, I just went into Perplexity and I just pasted this pretty much and was like, how do I get the last bit of the URL? And it gave me this. And there you can see it's now providing just the last bit. So then I can execute that. And we've got the last bit of all the URLs for LinkedIn, so they're identifiers. We're then going to get the first bit of Unipile. So the documentation, I actually have it all here. And so for this, we want to get the provider's ID. And so we're going to be looking into the users. We're going to be retrieving profiles. So we want to retrieve a profile. Here we are. And so you can fill this out all here. You know, it's pretty straightforward. You put your number there, you put your identifier here, and this will be the identifier that we just pulled and that ID. And then you put the account ID. So let's just, I'm going to type that in there. Identifier, just so I know where it goes. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. It's entirely up to you. Test ID. The rest of it is straightforward. So then you can copy that. We can go into there. We get a HTTP request. Import. Boom. Let's make sure it's got authenticated. But when you go into Unipile, you will need to go to there. You will need to create an account, and then you can go get your API key and your identification number. It's pretty straightforward. And then you can create a generic header auth login. So here we have it. And you can see here it's put the identifier. And so what we're going to do here is we can just get rid of that, and then we can, wait a minute, I need to make sure this is an expression. There we are. Put that at the end. So that's the last bit. We can also add a few other things, because we may want them to get pulled more often. And also we may want to make this a little bit more secure. Right, yeah, so we can get rid of that now. So that's the ID, that's why I put them at the start. And then we want to get the account in here as well. So what we can do here is you can actually put it down here. Like this is a perfectly fine option, to be honest. But you can also put it up here as well, just by putting question mark, account ID equals, and then we can get the account ID in here. Voila. And then should work. Let's just go to that for now and just give it a test. Yep, it worked. And so now we have all of these profiles. Fantastic. And now we need to get their post, because we want to engage on their content. So here we're going to get their posts again from Unipile. And here we have, you got list all posts. And yeah, you can get all the posts from a given user. And you can actually, it's pretty powerful. This, you can go, like, you can pull 100 posts if you want, effectively scraping the content. Also, I just realized we didn't do this, but I should have done it. We should batch. You wanna like, because this is LinkedIn again, you wanna make sure that it's not doing everything instantaneously, because this is essentially like looking at people's profiles. So you want it to have time between looking at a profile to make it, you know, again, as human as possible. So we're gonna rename this. So get provider ID. And then we want to get one for get posts. Okay, so that's the ID again. I'm going to do 2 posts. Again, you don't have to do this. Like, you can just, you know, copy the call request straight away and then fill out this information yourself. But I like to fill it out massive because it just gives me context of where I'm putting everything, so I don't have to think about it when I'm in here. Now, you could, if you wanted to, if you realize the difference between them, like if you were like, do you know what? I want to keep everything the same, but I just want to change the one thing that needs to be changed. Like if you look at this one, it's got user and then the identifier. This one has user, identifier, and then just posts afterwards. So it's not too different, but it may get confusing if you do that. So in this one, I tested it before, and for whatever reason, it didn't let the ID go through. So I'm just going to put that in there. This worked. This always works. If I can get it in the right place. And then I want to get that ID. So this is what we want. I'm pretty confident we want the provider ID. Yeah, ACO. So we're going to pop that in here. I'm going to get rid of this. That should now, hopefully this works. Let's find out. Ah, I wonder if I need to batch that as well. Wait, I'm missing a slash. That's embarrassing. I've done that before. Mr. Bloody is always like sometimes you accidentally take out a slash that you don't realize. Anyway, that should now work. And let's rename this to get posts. While that's doing that, the next thing we want to do is we want to check if it's a repost, because generally speaking, for LinkedIn anyway, you don't want to engage on someone who is doing a repost. All right, so it's pulled those through now, which is great. And so now we need to check if it's a repost. So we're going to get an if node in there. Let's connect you up. Let's put you here. What it does, thankfully, here we are, is equal to false. Boolean. Brilliant. So none of these posts are reposts, which is great. So if repost, and if they are reposts, we're just gonna leave them, or probably delay, send them to delay so they don't get checked again. So once we've done the repost and we've checked that they are indeed people we want to engage with, we then want to get the comments. Really hard not to copy and paste, I'll be honest. I've tried to build this along rather than just copying over what I've already made and just going through it. It's way more tedious. I can't believe I'm doing this. Anyway, so the next step is we want to get the comments. And so from those posts, and the reason we want to get the comments is we want to check, we want the automation to check if we have commented, because if you don't check the comments, and you've already commented like a week ago or a few days ago or whatever, it will just do another one. And you obviously don't want it to do that because it looks kind of weird. You want to only be engaging and commenting at the same time on a post. Like you can comment multiple times on a post, it just has to all be at the same time. Anyway, so let's look at, maybe it's in posts. List all comments from a post. This will be the one. So what we need here is obviously the post ID, and then it's just comments at the end. So then we just need the post ID. It's pretty straightforward then. So I'll just put that post ID in here. We're not going to limit. It only gets the first 100 comments. So if you're doing any super viral posts, this is not going to work for you. You would need a more extensive tool, or you could work out some formula of it, like only batching the comments and like getting them all in different ways or whatever. And then we need the account ID. Ready, that's fine. All right. So we're going to do a HTTP request. We're going to import the curl. Going to get this authenticated. Got my account ID in there. Get the Unipile in there. Make sure I don't get rid of that slash this time. And then we're going to the post ID. This is what we need next. So if repost, we've got it here. And you want this social ID number. You don't want to do this. Where is it? Where's the ID number? There's another number which has these 773 or whatever on it. Here, you don't want this ID. The number is the same, but it doesn't always work. You want to be using the social ID. So we can get rid of this. Brilliant. And this we don't really need to batch, because this is essentially like us looking at all of the comments. That's how you have to imagine it. So this one's pretty chill. Have I missed something? Oh, I put it in the wrong place, didn't I? This is where post ID was meant to go. And this is where posts goes. All right. That should work now. There we are. It's pulled out all the comments. There's like, okay, yeah, cool, all worked. So this has got on the comments. And now we need to check the comments. We need to check the comments and to see if they have any. These are all the comments on the thing, yeah. They're all the comments. If I'm on any of them, or if you're on any of them, like you need to be basically finding out what is it that can connect to this that allow me to filter it. And through a stupid amount of testing over many weeks, I finally arrived at a code node, which I'm just going to copy and paste in because it is what it is. And essentially, this is just checking comments. I've got my name, I've got my ID, and then this is all just pretty much what Perplexity. I put it in on Claude mode, and this is what it created for me. And so then this will check to see if on any of these profiles I have done any comments. And if I haven't, it will send them out. If they have gone comments, it will just it will pull them out with an if comments thing. So here I can click onto it, and we can see if they have now a comment item. Here we are. User commented false, commented status not commented yet. There we are. So these are the two things that have been added. As you can see here before, these things weren't here. So essentially that's what we've created here. Anyway, that's checking the comments. Now obviously we need an if node for that. We can minimize that. And so here we can put user commented. We can just say it's true. For the sake of the organization on this workflow. So obviously I've not commented on these, so they've gone to the false branch, which is fantastic. Now I'm going to switch these around actually. I want this to be it's true as well. First off, what we're going to do is the ones that essentially that we decided to not engage with, we just want to add a small delay. I'm going to do this via Airtable. And you'll see where the delay comes in. It comes in later. So we're just going to update a record. And we're going to, where is it? Engagement. Lead lists. And let's just put this in here. Cool, that goes there. Here we are. Match on that ID. Update their connection status. To first delay. Brilliant. So rename, that's going to be first delay. Okay. And so now I've gone that. Now it's for, let's say, the comment aspect. And the comment aspect is obviously probably one of the most crucial parts. You could probably spend quite a bit of time building that out, mainly because you are going to want it to comment like you. You're going to have to test it to see what comments it produces. But ultimately, it can be quite a lot of work. You probably want to create a persona for who you are, and then you want to build it out from there. We're going to define this. And so I'm going to just do I'm not actually going to comment on any of these today, but I'm going to put this here. And I want just to keep the comments relatively small because sometimes it can, and let's just say, for example, let's just say you're a learning and development coach. Let's just say that, for example. Now, where is the text? There we are. So that's the text. Now the model, I've been using OpenRouter when I've been connected it to Claude just to see how that is, but you could probably just use, ChatGPT as well, to be honest. It'd probably be good enough. And if you have an account, that's kind of perfect. But if you don't, you can also do it for that. You could also try and test it out with Gemini as well. I might, for the sake of just saving money, just use Gemini as I get it for free, or it's included in my business package or whatever. All right, and we're going to put it on the Pro. Because, yeah, I want it thinking about these answers. And I'm going to give it a bit of memory just because we want it to be able to think about, be able to remember stuff. So it understands what it's replying to. All right. Let's do it. Let's see what it does. Oh, I need to set this up. I'll call this post comment. And now we're going to see what kind of comments. I'm not expecting any good comments out of this, to be honest, because I haven't put in a fantastic prompt and I haven't defined it at all below. But in the real one, I would highly recommend crafting out an exact persona of who you are so that it is able to generate comments which are as like you as much as possible.